Hey guys, so I'm coming to you this evening because I wanted to talk a little bit about um, cluster B personalities. I want to talk about what it's like to live with one. I want to talk a little bit about what feelings and emotions you go through. And I just kind of want to touch base because, I hear a lot about your narcissists, your sociopaths, your psychopaths, right? Most of us aren't dealing with psychopaths. And let me explain. Psychopath, excuse my chair. That's my chair, not my ass. Um, Psychopaths are serial killers, but like people like that. Like there's no remorse. There's no, like, sure, they can learn that something isn't acceptable in society, but that doesn't mean that it's going to avert them from doing something, whatever, right? And then you've got your sociopaths where they're kind of like border on both, I guess. And I think a sociopath has more likely ability, no, more likelihood of becoming a psychopath. But I believe psychopaths are probably just, they are that something traumatic has happened to them, or maybe they were born that way. I have a hard time believing that people are born that way. I believe that all of these are made by circumstances. And so for that, I have some empathy towards it. So like if you think about like the TV show Dexter, right? He was a born, he was born normal, but the trauma that he endured created him, the way that he was. And luckily he had someone there that could redirect. That's a fun topic of discussion to get into. But now tonight I wanted to talk about, that's just kind of like a little quick 2.5 minute blurb of kind of what I'm talking about. And that's not, I mean, obviously there's far more details that go into the definition and whatnot, the professional definition, the generic definition. But these are people that are emotionless, cowardly, whatever words people use. They're not well. And what I want to talk about tonight is what happens when you're with one for an extended amount of time, especially if you're one who is normally a balanced individual, empathetic. An empath is just someone who probably grew up in an environment with a narcissistic individual or a cluster B of some sort. You learn to read a room. I think Teal Swan probably said it the best. An empath is also created in the same way that a narcissist is, right? But we're just on the other end of the spectrum. We learn to read a room, and we learn to caution our steps and our words. We observe to find the most unhappy person or the most disgruntled person in the room and figure out how to avoid or dismantle any potential disaster. So we're both made the same way, right? But being an empath or being a sensitive person or one with great compassion, say you didn't even learn great compassion from a traumatic experience, that was how you were raised, to be compassionate and empathetic, and so. But an empath is typically one who is learned through traumas as well, right? Teal Swan has a great bit on that. You should really go check it out. I love to listen to her. She's highly intelligent. She's very down to earth, but she's smart. She's very smart. So, hopefully that didn't make too much noise, but I got to sit back a little bit. But I did want to talk about what happens when you're with one for an extended amount of time. You will lose yourself. You will 1000% lose yourself. Now, there will be shadows of your former self. There will be moments of clarity where you're just, what the fuck am I doing? But there is going to come a point in time, if you continue to stay because you keep hoping things are going to change, you're going to be exhausted. You're going to be exhausted with life. And don't think for 1 second that that's not what they want you to do, because it is. Their ultimate goal is to create more of them in this world, right? They want you to become the narcissist. They want you to become the sociopath, because the more of them, the less guilt they ever have to feel, the less shame they have to feel, right? Because we're all the same. But we're not. We're not built that way. Human beings are not built that way naturally. They want us to stay down at their level, and they want to destroy the goodness in the world. And it might not even just be them consciously wanting to do it, right? It could be a subconscious thing. But you are going to lose yourself. You are going to, at some point, get so tired of them calling you names. Oh, you crazy psycho bitch. You're fucking insecure. You fat, ugly, nasty hoe. You this, you that, whatever. Whatever names they're calling you because you start catching on to their shit after the love bombing phase, right? They're gonna do this, and they're gonna do it so much, or as often as you're willing to stand up to them and question them, because how dare you question shit not adding up. And they're just slippery enough that you can't catch them, right? Just slippery enough. And I'm going to give you some examples of the types of professions that are more apt to be this, right? So you can kind of guard yourself a little bit better. But at some point you're going to get tired of it, right? And you're going to think, maybe if I do the same thing to them, obviously you're not going to go out, if they're a cheater, you're probably not going to go cheat, and you shouldn't. Don't do that. That's just, not only is it bad for you, it's just going to be a no-win situation for that, because they're going to use that as ammo. Say, see, I knew you were, this is why, and you made me do it, so I did it to you, and they're going to use it as an excuse, like you were the one doing it the whole time when you weren't. You did it, just don't do it. Just don't cheat on a narcissist. It will never go well. Or a cluster B, it will never go well, right? Excuse me. I had to take a drink of water. So you're going to start shooting shots back at them, right? You're going to start calling them names. Maybe you're slick with words and you can like really hit them where it hurts. And of course you're going to feel guilty. Every time you do this, you're going to feel guilty after you do it, because you're like, ugh. I really don't want to be that person. I really don't want to say those things. I don't want to be that, because that's not who I am, right? I just want them to see that what they're doing, but they're never going to see that what you're doing to them, that they've been doing to you, they're never going to see, oh, that's what I look like. You could record them and play it in their face, and they would still not get it. They would still not see it. Or they're going to give you this bullshit apology, and I call them empty apologies. They're empty, generic apologies where, oh, I'm so sorry. And then when they need to get really intense, they might start getting specific, but none of their apologies are authentic. They're not real. They're not valid. They're just a way to manipulate the situation. And the more times you allow this, the more creative they can get with their apologies and their guilt trips and their this and their that, because again, God forbid you stand up for yourself. God forbid you do any of this. And there's eventually going to come a point where, whether things have gotten physical or not, and they will more than likely, because these people have anger issues, severe anger issues, them being able to keep their hands off of you is going to be a rare form. But eventually you're going to reach a point where you just feel like a fucking robot. Because if you don't say the right thing, if you don't say what they want to hear, if you don't go against everything in your body about how you feel about a situation and speak your mind and speak your truth, you are eventually going to feel like a fucking robot. You're going to feel like a Stepford wife or husband, whichever. I'm going to address it from a female's perspective. But you're going to feel like a fucking robot. And for those of you out there who are potentially experiencing the love bombing from someone who's currently in a relationship, and they're telling you that that person's psychotic, they're cruel, they're mean, they're this or that, and they may be at this point because they've been putting up with this shit for so fucking long, don't think you're winning any prize. They might have lots of money, they might have lots of stuff, they might be bragging to you about how much money they make, they might be bragging to you about all the gifts that they buy, which I call shut up gifts. They're going to be bragging and bragging and bragging and doing all this stuff to get you all hook, line, and sinker. And they might not have sex with you just to make it look more legit, right? Like, I'm trying to do this the right way, blah, 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 blah. But then eventually 6 months down the road, 3 months down the road, whatever it is, when that mask falls off and you start sensing things just ain't right, something just ain't fucking adding up. And it might be about a year into it where you realize, oh, she wasn't or he wasn't the bad guy. It's this motherfucker. Because now I'm starting to see exactly why the other person got paranoid and why the other person was wondering why they kept coming back to my area all the time, over and over and over and over and over. And so don't think you're winning a prize. If somebody is love bombing you, making it seem like they're going out of their way to get to you, to do this, to do that, they're not. Welcome to the world of cluster B, especially the serial cheaters. Like, and now I'm gonna give you, because we're nearing that 15-minute mark, and I'm trying to keep you engaged, but I'm gonna give you a list of some of the professions that this is going to occur in the most. All right. And this doesn't mean everybody in those professions is this way. Don't think that for a second. You'll know because there's a billion red flags and you should probably listen to them. If you're thinking, or, oh, he went out of his way. Why can't I talk to him on the weekends? It's probably a sign. So, number one, anyone who travels on a regular basis, salespeople, truck drivers, who else in the transportation industry, pilots, train professionals, whatever they are, whatever they do, anyone who can come and go as they please to an extent. I mean, obviously they have a job to do, right? But they can kind of freely pick and choose where they go, or find a legitimate, quote unquote, legitimate reason to go back to the same place over and over and over and over. If you're finding yourself in somebody's truck, in a hotel, never at their home, never being introduced to their friends and family, you should question that. Like, if you've been seeing them off and on for a while, right? At some point, why can't I call you on the weekends? Oh, I can only text you? Why is that? What, you see what I'm saying? You really think about that. So anybody who travels on a regular basis and those red flags exist, you've probably got yourself somebody who's in a relationship and you're the side piece. Medical professionals spend a lot of time away from home. And that creates a stressful situation. But under no circumstance, stressful or not, should you ever engage in an extramarital, whatever relationship. Whether you're married or not, if you're in a monogamous relationship, and the other person thinks you're in a monogamous relationship, and that is the understanding, don't go dipping your lollipop somewhere else, right? Or letting somebody dip their lollipop into you. But so you've got You're traveling. You've got your medical profession. You have, what's another good one? Your higher up, and I say quote unquote, higher up business professionals that can, oh, I've got to be at this meeting till 10 o'clock at night. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do that. Use your common sense. You're going to know if your partner's a cheater or not. You're going to know. If you even suspect it, because there's just too many coincidences. Once in a blue moon, if something happens, something comes up, whatever. That's one thing. But when there's so many coincidences that there are no longer coincidences, you probably have a problem. And so I just want to leave it at that. I really hope that this message reaches a lot of you, because at some point you're going to be sitting there and just saying things that you don't really want to say, but now you don't even care about the fact that you just don't really want to say them. You're just saying them to avoid the drama and the fucking energy that is required to keep these motherfuckers happy. Like, at what point do you not realize before you get into it or after you've gotten into it? And I understand, and I want to make this very clear, those of you who have not been involved in a narcissistic relationship, in an abusive situation like that, you don't know, because everything that happens is so insidious. It's little things that start to build up and build up and build up and build up, and by the time they've built up so much, there's been so much of your hope and your good nature and your heart just absolutely invested and wasted. At this point you realize it's been wasted, that you just don't fucking care anymore. And I don't want to see anybody else. And these people, they need to have a fucking stop put to them. And the more that we get this message out here, the more that we let people know what the signs are, what the red flags are, what the things are that lead up to these things continuing on and creating their new path of fucking destruction and chaos, and then making good people become so guarded that they don't want to fucking deal with anything ever again for the rest of their life. We need to put a stop to it. And the only way we're going to get it to stop is if people stop going out and fucking around with these people. So we need to also be getting the message out of, hey, this is kind of how that's going to look when they're in a relationship, and they might be telling you that they're in this relationship and they're a horrible person and they are crazy and they're jealous and insecure and this and that. I bet they are. I fucking bet they are. And you will be too if you continue the relationship. So we need to get both sides of this out so that unsuspecting men and women that are falling prey to these people while they are still in another relationship don't give these people an excuse to continue just absolutely derailing another human being, because they take and they only want us good people. They only want the good eggs, because that's what they're trying to destroy. That's what their mission is, whether it's on a spiritual plane and they're demonic entities, because I've heard that theory, and I don't deny it, because there's enough written historically, there's been enough written information and experiences about that. And where the fuck did all the demons go? If that actually happened, where the fuck did all that negative energy go? The negative entities, where did they go? They don't just disappear, because energy doesn't disappear. It's an ongoing thing, right? And then if you look at it from just a psychological aspect, they're never held accountable. When we start holding them accountable is when we put a stop to it. They don't have any more energy. They will have no more paths to go, because all it is kind of like this video. It's just, that's what it is when you're in a relationship with one of these people. Like, oh look, oh, it's a beautiful sunset, we're riding off into the sunset, and the fucking sunset never comes, right? It never fucking comes, because it's a never-ending cycle of bullshit that's only intended on making you like that, like it's just a empty block of bullshit that doesn't even look like anything anymore. So good luck if you're involved with one. I hope you escape. If you think that you're engaged with one, and I don't mean engaged like ring on the finger kind of engaged, I mean just engaged, involved, beginning, right? And you start, I encourage you to go read some of the red flags. Dr. Ramani is a great person to go listen to. Surviving Narcissism is a great channel to go to. They're all great. And then there's, I think he might be a German doctor or Germanic language. It's a one of those. And I'm just going off of his accent, and I can't think of his name right now. But he's actually, I think, the one that kind of coined that phrase or whatever, NPD or narcissistic abuse. So, but there's another gentleman that's been interviewing him, and that guy has a British accent, I believe, or Australian accent. And I don't have their names right in front of me. So, but if you look through and do searches for narcissism on YouTube, you're going to find it. You're going to find it. Those are some great people with amazing information to listen to. So that if you do think that maybe I'm getting involved with a narcissist and he's got a wife or she's got a husband at home that's probably psychotic by now because they've pushed them to this point, but eventually they're going to push them until they feel dead, right? Please don't be that person. Don't propel it. Don't encourage it. You know, yeah, okay, you want to go get laid? Go to the club where you live and find somebody that kind of lives in the area. Do something different. I mean, I don't know. Go get a toy. Go get a toy. Jump in the shower. I don't know. We have got to put a stop to this and this loose behavior that we've been encouraging. Like, I don't care what you do, but understand that you could be getting yourself into and opening doors that you don't want to open by doing that. Not to mention, monkeypox is apparently an STD. So good luck with that, anybody that's out there just, randomly having sex with people, because condoms don't protect you from everything. Just gonna throw that out there. You're kissing on people, you doing other things without protection. Be careful, be safe, folks, because these are the people that are spreading nasty shit like that. And then you got your DLs. And let me tell you, your narcissists are the ones that are typically bisexual, because where there's a hole, there's a goal, right? Anything will do. Anything will do. As long as they can get their kicks. They're disgusting. They're perverse. They're trifling. Anyways, good luck. Feel free to comment, like, subscribe, share, do whatever you need to do. I just want this message to reach the people that it needs to reach. Good night and God bless.